Well, hello, folks. Got a little background music going. I don't know how many people we even got out there tonight, but I thank everyone for dropping by. I see Cashew in there. I see Carson. Appreciate that. I haven't refreshed the chat, so I'm not really sure what's going on with the chat. If you see anything in there that I need to grab or anything, let me know. All right. Well, Eric, I'd like to welcome you to this little live stream that I threw together.
Yeah,
Get
thanks
rid
for
of that
having me.
music for us. And I saw the other day when you were posting some things on your community tab that another a body had been found around the Brushy Creek area. So just kind of let me know what happened. I saw that link and
Yeah.
just briefly gazed at it, but I didn't get deep into it. So what was this one all about?
Well, so I think the last one we had talked about was kind of the one that where the guy had gone missing in March, and they found his body a few, I believe it was close to Halloween. They found him in October, and I think that was the last time I spoke with you. Was about finding that body then, and
Right.
shortly after we learned the identity of that person, who that was. But recently, I believe it was November 29th, November 30th. The Williamson County sheriffs actually discovered another body, which was off of Ronald Reagan Boulevard. I believe it turns into East Whitestone, which is, I mean, if you follow Sam Bass, Harry Mann Road, eventually you're going to end up in that same area.
Right.
So this one's a little bit different. It's actually a lot different. I was working on a video kind of talking about all the bodies and human remains that have been found. It's actually been 10 since 2016, which is just, when you think about that number, it's terrible. Uh, 10 people have been found, and five still have remained unidentified. Not necessarily unidentified, but to the public, they've remained unidentified. We don't know who those people were. We don't know if they were, a man, woman. We have no idea how they were, found, or what cause of death it was. That information has never been released to the public in a lot of these cases, and the majority of them. I don't think any of them, except this one that happened the most recently, which was the 29th of November. This one, they are saying they do believe that it was a murder that happened, unfortunately.
Oh, I see.
And I was working on this video, and I was getting pretty close to finishing it. But as this information started coming out, I started, I was like, well, I can't really put anything out because it's a developing story. And I believe, I think yesterday they announced they had a person in custody, and at first they had charged him with tampering of a body,
Oh
and
yeah.
now they're actually charging him with murder. This person.
Oh.
And yeah, so they had to, I believe, get them extradited from Colorado t- back here to Williamson County, I believe, Travis County, Williamson County. I'm not sure, but this was a
Interesting.
person that had gone missing in November. He was reported missing November 9th, I believe, but everyone believes he went missing around November 1st. Uh, and there's a lot of really weird stuff involving this case, kind of like the one that happened before. Like, to be honest with you, what really happened, what got the investigation kick started, I guess, if you want to say, was a private investigator. It wasn't even the police. A private investigator was the one that was hired by the family of this person to look into this stuff. He went to the apartment and found um, a lot of damning evidence, I guess, and the police had just been there. The police were there. They did a wellness check, and they claimed they found red wine on the walls. And when the private investigator went there, he's like, "I'm pretty sure that's blood." And he said it was found throughout the apartment, unfortunately. And he was able to get the security footage from the apartment complex, which I don't believe the sheriffs did that. So he actually took all this information to the sheriff's office and said, "Hey, look, this is what's going on. This is all the stuff that I found." And from there, I believe is when they officially, got to work on it. I could be wrong, but that's what the articles and everything I've read has been leading me to believe that this PI was the one who really got everything kickstarted on this investigation. So
Now
it
this wasn't
seems
the
to work.
same. This wasn't the same PI that was connected to that last disappearance about that kid that.
Well, I can't comment on that. Honestly, I can't really
Okay.
comment on that.
Okay.
But if you were familiar with that last one, I did mention that,
I got you.
PI had
I got
reached
you.
out to me. Yeah, PI had reached out to me saying, if you have, if you have, keep an eye out for this guy. He's been missing since March, which I had no idea at the time. And then I had put on my community tab, they had found a body in a certain area. And then he actually told me maybe 3 or 4 days before the news actually announced who that person was. And he
Right.
says, hey, unfortunately, it was the same guy I told you to look out for. And that story is just all over the place as well. I mean, his phone pinged back in Conroe, Texas, which is about 2.5, 3 hours away.
Yeah, toward
And
Texas. I mean, towards Houston, right?
exactly, yeah. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on there, and unfortunately, the family had to hire a private investigator because they felt like, again, they weren't really getting the information they were seeking from the local authorities. So who knows? It's weird.
Right. But they were pretty forthcoming with this one only because it kind of seemed maybe that their hand was forced a little bit by that private detective.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it was highly forced. And the other weird thing is that they knew who this, I believe, from everything I've read, they knew who this person was when they found the body, because from what I've read, the killer actually told them, circle the spot saying this is where you'll find it. Okay. And
Right.
so when they went there, they already knew who they were, who was more than likely going to be. But they announced it like saying, "Oh, they found a body," and then like a couple of days later, they announced that it was that same person. But I can't find any of the previous articles saying, they found the body. Now they're just saying body identified as person. So it's weird. A lot of that stuff. I don't know if they just changed it or updated it, but
Yeah, I
it's
got you.
weird.
But you did. I know. I think when you'd posted that map, or maybe even posted. I think it's when you posted that update. I left you a comment in your community
Okay, yeah, I
uh,
think I saw that.
tab, something about hey, you putting together a map, and I think you eventually did. And so I'm going to see if I can't pull that up
Yeah,
real quick, just to kind of show people what we're talking about.
yeah, and this is going to be part of hopefully it's going to be a part of a video that I've been working on, just to kind of, uh, c- you know, I guess the case file or the definitive guide to all the, I don't want to say definitive guide, but, all the information just compiled together in video form, just to kind of give people some awareness of how long this has been going on, and it's been going on, and the weirdness of why it's,
Right.
you know,
So there's the map. Can you see that pretty well there? I can hide
yeah,
this.
yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it looks
Do
good.
just one right there, and just see if we can't. There we go.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
and so
that's right
that
there.
now was the latest one on here at
The
all?
latest one is going to be all the way to the left there, uh, or left. Yeah, it says 12. It says right there 12/1 2022.
Right.
Yeah, so that is the latest one right there, and it's very close to Brushy Creek. I think it might be a little bit more upwards to the left, a little bit more, but that's in the general area right there. It's not far from the Brushy Creek at all. And this is the one where they are saying, they do have someone in custody for it. And it'll be interesting to see what else they're talking about.
And they'd gotten this suspect or the person that identified where the body was at
Correct.
was in custody in Colorado.
They took him into custody in Colorado, questioned him in Colorado. And from what I understand, yesterday he was booked into the local jail under murder charges. Yeah.
And was this the person that was the victim, this most recent victim? Were they a local? Were they from around
Yeah,
that area
from what I understand, they were from Austin. I'm not sure how local they are. I believe their family was from out of town. That is why they hired the private investigator, just to have eyes, in the area. Uh, but I believe that person lived here for a while, a few years. Um, 34 years old. It's a young man
Yeah.
there, and so
Okay.
there's a
Well,
lot of
that's
information to come out. I think there's going to be a lot of information that comes out about this, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see what all is said.
And so we've got these going all the way back to, what's the earliest one we got here? 2016. Is that what it is?
2016 is the earliest one. If you want to go back, we can talk about the ancient burial grounds. Actually, those would be the really the first. You know, but more modern times, yeah, 2016 is going to be
And
some of
in
the
this
early stuff.
area, on this map,
Sure.
where would the ancient burial grounds be? I don't know if you can see my cursor. I'm
Yeah, I
right.
can see it. The ancient burial grounds is going to be right in that cluster of those, right in the middle, right there,
Oh
right in
yeah.
the middle. Oh, right there. Yep, yeah. That is the Freeman Park area, and they have found, uh, yeah, they found three bodies there, modern, and they found three. They believe to be three ancient remains of three different people in 2014. There, that's that same area. That's the Freeman Park area.
And you weren't. That's where you grew up, right?
I grew up 50 feet from where they found the bones right there. Yeah, we would literally go back there almost every summer. We go back there a couple times a week and go fishing and swimming back there. It was beautiful, beautiful area, but it was a strange area. I mean, you always felt like it was, you didn't want to be out there too late. It was just kind of a spot where it was just, covered. It was so dense. There wasn't a trail there. You're getting a bunch of poison ivy and other stuff.
Well, now that's pretty. That road right there, back behind there. Now that's an interstate, isn't it? Or that's a highway?
You would call it like a highway, yeah. 79. It's pretty barren right here. You can see like all the greenery kind of surrounding it.
Right.
Now there is a lot of construction going on recently, um, but it's still kind of it takes you to uh, you know, east part of Central Texas, and it's pretty barren out there. A lot of farmland. Taylor goes out there. It's a big farming community. Um, so yeah, you don't really hit much of anything until you get to like I don't know, maybe Bryan or something like that.
Okay. So then these other people had been identified. So we've got 77-year-old person
Yeah,
in 2019,
right.
46 in 2016, 40-year-old in
Yeah,
2016. What was? Do you remember the circumstances around this
40-year-old.
Augustin Ortiz?
Yeah. So yeah, that one was weird. He had claimed to have been out walking, or he told his wife that he was going out walking, and they found him right by the Round Rock, which is comes out of the Brushy Creek. It's like our monument, the town's monument. And they have never said a cause of death, but I read in an article, an interview the wife gave, and she said that she was told. She literally says they told us he drowned. Like that's what she
Oh
said in
yeah.
the article. She doesn't say like, oh, he drowned. She says they told us he drowned. Whatever. That's exactly the way she puts it. And yeah, it's strange because they found him, I believe, at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and that's not a heavily populated area, but people drive
Right.
through there on a daily basis. Like on an hourly basis, you'll get people driving through there, even people fishing in that area because it's right by the rock, and people taking pictures and stuff like that. So it would be, I think I find it really hard to believe that it's not there 1 second and then the other second it's there. Like, it's I just find it odd that they found it at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Like
Yeah.
it's really weird.
And she said he was out for a walk or something.
He told his wife that he was going out for a walk.
Yeah.
So that's really the only information we have. And the other strange thing is that was 5 months. Well, that was actually 5 days after a body had been discovered. Well, right behind it was right on the Brushy Creek area there. If you see the one right next to the closest one next to the 40-year-old, yeah, that one right there.
Right.
And that one we have no idea how they died, who they were, nothing like that. And 5 days later, uh, we have that one, the 40-year-old Mr. Ortiz
Right.
Jr. And
Now, any
yeah,
theory about some of these might be related in the sense of, is there somebody dumping bodies there? Like you said, it's kind of a rural area. I mean,
yeah,
but it's close to the highway, but it's kind of
mhm,
like, kind of wooded, but you can
right.
get between a lot of places pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really don't want to speculate too much, but your mind just kind of goes to that. You know, your mind goes to that area where you're thinking, "Hey, man, is this? Could this be?" I know the one that's at the very top with the arrow pointing to the right. That one has been ruled also a suspicious activity. They never said if it was a male, female, anything like that, but all they've said that they believe it was suspicious activity. And the last thing that I heard was that another state was involved with that one.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's the last thing I heard about that. And
Okay.
again, all the time they'll say that they're going to talk about how they're going to update the public with more information. The only one I've seen them update the public on was the one that just happened in 2012, and I guess maybe the Timothy Perez one that happened in
Right.
October. Those are the only two that they've actually updated. Really, the other ones we never have cause of death, and there's 5 people that still remain unidentified there.
Interesting. Yeah.
And a town that was in 2016, the same year that they had the body show up, was named one of the safest cities in America. This year, we've had 3 bodies show up, and we were also named one of the safest cities in America this year. So it's, I mean, yeah, it's weird. When you think about it,
Yeah, absolutely.
uh, and then you just kind of look at it like the way I'm looking at it is like, why would a private investigators in both scenarios have to kind of force the disclosure like they are? It seemed like the normal authority. Well, I do know the authorities in the Timothy Perez case knew he was missing. They encountered him. The last image they have of him alive, unfortunately, is a body cam photo from the police,
Right.
which they forced him to leave a church. That's all terrible.
Right.
They
Right.
knew he was missing. They could have saved his life right then and there at that moment, but no, they forced him to leave. Like,
Yeah, that
yeah,
was yeah, it's interesting that the authorities had contact with some of these people or been around before checking on these people. Maybe it's a good response to check things out, but going by the letter of the law is like if there's nobody disappeared or at the time that they're not going to investigate that much more into it. But hey, before we move on here a little bit, I
hmm
want to just give a shout out to everybody that's in chat and
sure,
thank everybody for showing up. We got a lot of the people that I've run into in a lot of other places. I really appreciate you guys supporting us. And Eric and I just kind of threw this together. Um, Lake Ferry, I appreciate you and drop by. Really appreciate Bigfoot Lake for pinning this on his community tab and sharing it. Life Done Free. Hey, glad to see you here. I watch their live streams if you're really looking for some very good community when it comes to prepping and building
yeah,
things toward the future in a community of self-reliance. Life Done Free is great. They
cool.
put together a great, I think it's Freesteading,
Oh yeah,
I think is their new social media site.
cool.
Life Done Free. If I screwed up that name, go ahead and put it in the chat for me, please. Cashew's here. Appreciate your time for showing up. Um, so helpful in doing all this and running all this. I can't be thankful enough for her help. Francesca, Sharon Guy, Mopar Bill, Ruger
Francesca,
Ridge,
yeah.
Janelle Lee, Ida Bustamante, Patrick Noble. If there's anybody I missed out there, let me know for sure. Just say hey in the Carson 1954. Thank you for subbing. I
See the
appreciate you.
squatching cowboys here. What's
Yeah,
going
I saw
on, man?
Joe earlier.
Oh,
I know he's been doing some
I saw one of his
more
videos.
investigating down in Texas.
Yeah,
Shift Kicker, appreciate you showing up. Thank you very much. I think I pretty
I
much
think I
got.
saw one of Cowboys videos on Reddit. I was like going through Reddit. I was like, oh
Oh
wow,
yeah,
yeah. I was like, yeah, somebody shared it.
Squash
Or, yeah,
Cowboys getting Reddit famous.
yeah, yeah.
Well, awesome. Thanks, Joe, for showing up. Well, all right. Now, as far as this goes, we this is kind of the update of what's been going on. But in the long run, I mean, how are you coming along with putting together your next irons in the fire in relation to this first, and then we can go with
Sure.
the Brushy Creek expedition to Brushy Creek and some of the Hairy Man
Yeah.
info.
Yeah. I mean, this, like I said, I've been working on the video for the missing people, the bodies that have been identified. That's going to kind of again show the timeline. It's gonna have what information we do know, very little information we do know of some of these people in some of these cases. I'm going to be talking about some of the local opinion and some of the insights that I've heard from local people. Uh, and again, it's just kind of be the have the most data I think I've acquired while working on this stuff, and I was really going to put it out maybe a week ago, and then I started seeing this recent developments that were happening, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to wait a little bit to see what all's being changed here because everything is happening in real time. I mean, God, I guess I would say, God forbid that this guy ends up saying, this is not the only one, um, that would be really insane. But who knows? It's to me, it's just a weird coincidence. Again, three bodies in 1 year, very reminiscent of 2016, and I'm just trying to capture all this information, share it, like putting it in my community tab where people can see it, like yourself, and kind of. I know you've done a little bit of a dive into this as well. So when I start talking about it, you kind of giving me a little bit of back and forth because you're a little bit more aware than some other people about what's going on. But
Well, now
it's
has
just
anybody else in your area kind of reached out to you? I know we had talked about that a little bit. That some people had reached out when it came to some of the sightings of the hairy man, but now they're starting to kind of contact you or kind of maybe just give you some tips or like, hey, I heard a little bit of this or I knew this person or you might you know
yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the people that have contacted me saying like they've they've heard of things going on around there. I think you shared a video with me about this certain group of people, and I said, yeah, I knew about that, but I didn't want to mention it because there's a lot of liability issues with that.
sure,
And
yeah,
people reached out to me with similar things, not exactly the same, but similar things to that. And even this private investigator that had reached out to me had told me some things that were uh, not mentioned publicly, and it kind of fits along the things that were going on here in a weird way. I don't know if that's coincidence or not, but it's all really weird. And for the most part, I'm going to have this all added up in the video where I'm going to kind of go into detail about it. And that's probably as deep as I want to dive on that subject. I'm not going to be writing a
understandable,
not going to be writing a book
understandable.
about that. I'm not going to be, because that's just, to me, that's just, it's horrible that it's happening in literally my hometown almost. And if it is just all coincidence, then well, please release some more information to the public so we feel safer. We'll know that, oh, it was like a drug overdose or it was an
Right.
accident or it was, let us know what it is, like, I don't know.
Just gonna adjust the camera here a little bit.
Sure.
Get my Christmas themed shirt in the can get it in there.
There you go. Oh yeah.
Little Yeti there.
Hey, yeah, that's a good one. I haven't seen that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think getting Yeti for the holidays is what it
Nice.
says. With Yeti bringing you Christmas presents.
Yeah,
I
that's a
think my
good one.
sister got that for me.
Nice.
Um, so with the um, new information, maybe this kind of making you rethink as far as what might be responsible for this.
That's a really good question. I'll say yes and no because I kind of always had the idea of like it could be one thing, and that hasn't been proven wrong yet. You know, it just hasn't been proven right yet either. So it's kind of like I have changed a little bit of what I've kind of perceived things to be, at least in certain areas. There could be that maybe a few are related and the rest are not, or maybe one or two are related, or maybe none of them.
Right.
So
Well,
that still remains a mystery. But I've kind of changed the way I've looked at it. I guess you could say, yeah.
and
Hmm.
and you think that's as a result of these people contacting you, and you be getting a little bit more light into the areas that might have been a little bit more gray
Yeah,
before.
yeah, I would say so. Yeah, yeah. I didn't want to, I didn't want to believe 100% in one thing, and so I left myself open to it. And yeah, I mean, I wanted people to reach out to me and tell me things, and I feel like I've gotten to that point now where I've gotten the information, and not all the information, but enough to where I can, you know, say
And
one thing towards another. Yeah.
okay, so where you want, what do you want to talk about next? I mean, this is kind of,
Yeah.
I didn't write
Uh,
down, I didn't organize, I don't got an outline or anything, and
yeah.
trying to get used to my new little setup here, talk to people. So I really appreciate you
No,
coming on to do
absolutely.
this. So
Let's see.
let's go where you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the next project I'm working on is about Cowboy. Might have heard this when he's in here. Is about the what I think is one of the most interesting encounter. I want to say encounter. I'm going to say encounter stories that I've ever heard, and it's kind of similar to mine because if you've heard me talk about the Brushy Creek and how certain alphabet agencies were putting things out at certain times, and that was a weird timeline situation there. This is so similar to that, but it has even more data. I believe this has more data than what was going on in my area, and there's a lot of data that was happening here in my area. And so what it
Right.
was basically about a some events that took place in 1976, August of 1976, in Bexar County, which is San Antonio area. Uh,
Oh, right.
and they had over the course of a few weeks, they had, I believe, 5 different people had sightings of these hairy creatures in the area. One of them was like a miniature, smaller one, and the rest were big. What you would expect from sightings like that. But some of the strangest stuff is the things that were kind of surrounding the mythos of that area, because at the same time this was going on, in less than, like, I think 50 100 yards from where one of the sightings took place, they actually found a woman's body. uh, yeah, this is it right here. Yeah, so these were the sightings that were taking place, and 4 sightings of hairy creatures, and I think there was actually 5 from what I did a little live stream talking about this, and to me it
Right.
was just so, like, I had never heard of it before, and I was just doing some research, and I was like, "What is this?" And I just did a deep dive into it, and you could see the girl sitting on the step like that. Where is she sitting? She's sitting in the same area that the woman who lived in that house. She said at night her dogs were barking. She looked out the window and she saw a tiny hairy being sitting exactly that spot where that woman is sitting right there,
Right.
and that kind of kickstarted the whole thing, I guess.
So
Um,
she's sitting here demonstrating
exactly, for the
how the smaller
cameras.
creature
Yeah.
was sitting on the back of the porch of her house.
Right, exactly. And this was a very rural area of San Antonio, heavy Hispanic population, and where the police didn't really frequent a lot of times. Uh, so it backed up to a big green belt where it's part of the Balcones escarpment, the mini Grand Canyon, I like to call it. And this is that same area where I believe Edward Oliveri, he says 2 hairy-like creatures were sighted by 2 different people near this area, and that's the backyard where he said he saw one laying down, and then like the train came by, and it popped up when I heard the train whistle and just took off running, and that was that same area. Uh,
Yeah,
but
and
again,
how far is San Antonio
from
from
Austin,
Round Rock?
uh, not very far at all. I would say,
Hour and a half or something?
yeah, hour and a half, maybe less. Yeah. And it's part of that Balcones escarpment. It starts a little bit further south of San Antonio and goes up almost to Oklahoma, all the way up there, and full of green belts, creeks, just like the Brushy Creek. And to me, this one was so strange because, well, the part that I was talking about with the agencies, the military, or I'll show you this picture here. So if you can see that bottom picture there, that was actually a manhole that had been
Right.
removed. So I
The
mean, if
top.
you're thinking a manhole, that's heavy. That's you usually need tools for that.
Right.
Some kids messing around aren't just going to be able to pop that open. It takes a lot of effort. And if someone was messing with it, I think somebody would have seen it and said, like, "Hey, get away from their kids," or something. But there was a lot of animal mutilations going on as well, and the newspaper talks about they were finding
Oh
animal
yeah.
carcasses. They were finding, oh yeah, they were finding
So this
dog
is
carcasses.
1972, right?
1976,
76. Okay.
76, yeah.
And when you talked, I mean, you went and found one of the people that was a witness or something, didn't
He
you?
actually contacted me right after the live stream, which was like super creepy, and he sent me the last 2 pictures Well, this is talking about what I was mentioning before. They have found a woman about 50 yards from where the sightings were taking place. And if you can read that in there, it talks about how they found her impaled with a branch growing through her body.
Yeah.
The detective at the time said it took superhuman strength to do that. And it
Right.
says it in the article. I
Yep.
mean, what?
And it says many residents are hoping that the city will take steps to clear away the brush from the
Yeah.
area. Yeah.
So
So just like at that time when we'd talked before about how that obviously the name Brushy Creek got its name, but you were talking about walking back there when you were a kid about how it grew up and it was
oh
like
man,
4, 5, 6 feet tall.
yeah, it was
Grass.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge. I mean, grasshoppers that were like huge, giant grasshoppers out there. Yeah, it was.
But drove a branch through the victim's body, impaling her.
Yeah,
That doesn't sound like your typical, you know,
murder scene. Yeah, I mean,
murderer. Yeah,
yeah.
they're gonna use something a little bit easier, I would think, than a
Who
branch.
knows? It could have been like a blunt branch too, like the force it took
Yeah, I
to.
would like to know how big it was, but for even the
Yeah.
cops to kind of commit that it, make a comment that it takes superhuman strength. That yeah, that would be. It's
This is the same time that these sightings were taking place. Animals were being found, kind of mutilated and stuff like that, and so that kind of led me to the this. This is the next. Well, that I was talking about the alphabet agency's involvement.
oh, is this where this shows up? Okay.
Well, it was a little bit before that. Actually, around that same time, the Kelly Air Force Base is located right next to that same area, Quintana Road, where all those sightings were taking place. The Kelly Air Force Base actually did a curfew around that time. They initiated a curfew
In
saying people had
1976.
1976, and there's I've read an article about them talking about the curfew, but they didn't mention anything about Sasquatch or anything like that, of course. But there was a curfew that they put out there around that same time, around when the body was found, around the sighting taking place. So who knows? But it's literally like you cross the train tracks and you're in the Kelly Air Force Base. Like that's
Oh
how
yeah.
close you are to that area. And one of the strange things that the William Oliveri, the brother of the one who's mentioned in the article there, he reached out to me and he said that up the canal or up this creek, if you follow it long enough, you'll get to a place where they used to house apes, monkeys and apes, for like hormone research.
What?
I swear, this is what he told me, and I was like, when he
Was
told
this
me
on
that,
your? Was this on your? This wasn't on your little
well, no,
interview,
because
was
no, because he talked to me afterwards.
Oh.
He saw it, and then he called me saying, hey, I wanted to let you know that not very far if you keep going,
Hmm.
there's a ape thing, monkey place where they would do like hormone research on monkeys and stuff like that.
So you got the Department of Defense out there on an Air Force base doing monkey research.
I mean, that's what I was told. Yeah, that they were out there. Yeah, there was. If you follow that one of those little green belts, it backs up to a facility that they were doing like hormone research for monkeys. Yeah. hmm And that was the
Now,
same time they put out the curfew. The same time people are getting stabbed with branches taking superhuman strength. This is sightings were taking place. So to me, it was just there was so much information in there. Uh, and these people were talking to the news, giving interviews about what they had seen. We have at least 4 different names of people talking about I saw it. So that's pretty hardcore data there to me, I think. Yeah, yeah. And I was trying to get some more information out of Mr. Oliveri, but he was still kind of like, he was still trying to remember stuff. When he saw that first live stream, he's like, it sparked something, and he's like, I can't really remember too much right now, but if anything pops up, I'll contact you and let you know. But he did remember about the hormone thing, and he told me about there were 2 sets of footprints found. I think I had sent you one picture, and there was a footprint in there. He actually sent me those pictures. I haven't been able to find those pictures anywhere. I don't know
oh
where
yeah.
he got it from, but one is literally like the file. He took a picture of the file, and then the other one is the picture of them finding the footprint. He told me there were actually 2 sets of footprint. One of them got destroyed by like kids or something, and then the other one they were able to save for the
Now,
cameras.
did you send that to me?
I believe so. Yeah, it should be.
Um.
It should be called like. It should be in there.
Oh, here we go. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think I only got one picture of it there,
Is it the
or
file or which one is it?
I got
It
the.
sh- It should be the file, and there should be one of like her, like right in front of a track.
Yeah, you got. I'll share 'em. Let's take a look at
Yeah,
them. Try that. Yeah, because I got the one of I see her doing it, but the other one of the actual file just looks like a
yeah,
Yolanda Olivares points to strange tracks.
yeah. The file is just a picture of the file. If you have the other one, that's the file right there. Yeah, I don't know where he got that from, but that's a file. I think from the news, the San Antonio Light, which is now a defunct news organization.
Okay, so that this picture here has a barcode on it.
Yeah,
Yes, Francesca, it was hormone research. Sorry,
hormone. Yeah, hormone. Yeah.
and so that says got a barcode on it. Now, did you find this in a microfiche somewhere, and then they had written Bigfoot on there?
Well, Mr. Oliveri sent that to me. He sent me that picture. I'm not sure where
Okay,
he got that from. I've looked
okay, so
everywhere.
this is the back part of the picture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like the
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah, and
So
then the
that's the
front.
front
That's the
part
front
right
part. Yeah,
there.
and she's pointing to a print right there. And
Yeah, right
supposedly
there.
there was another one, but it was like kids rode their bikes through that area or something.
Yeah,
And
there's like a railroad tie there
yeah,
to her left, and
yeah,
this looks like almost like corn
that
or something.
it's part of the green belt right there. I don't know what
Right.
kind of trees those are, but yeah, that's the green belt that cuts through. And so there
Yep.
was just a lot of info there. Eyewitness sightings, the footprints, the manhole being removed, the carcasses they were finding.
Now, did Mr. Oliveris did he say who told him about the monkey research or the primate research?
It was just like a known thing, like in their area. Like people that lived in that area knew about it because I guess that was it was I guess it wasn't the fanciest part of town. Uh, and he said, yeah, that was they just down the road they were doing monkey research. And he said you could actually see it from the highway. You could see there's like a dome, almost like like a greenhouse type of dome thing there. And that's
Right.
yeah, it was you'd be able to see it from the highway when you're driving.
Gotcha. Now,
But
did you think there was another picture of these prints?
no, that was it.
Okay.
There was another set of prints, but they didn't get a picture of that. They were destroyed by the kids in the area. He was the one who
Okay.
told me that. I don't think they talk about it in the article, but he told me that they had
Oh,
other prints
gotcha.
that they found. Yeah.
Well, now I'm wondering if when people said that there was, did they say monkey research? Or did they say primate? And the only reason I asked for the distinction is
Sure.
was somebody maybe telling them like, oh yeah, it's monkeys, but in reality maybe it wasn't.
I believe he said monkeys. He did
Okay.
say monkeys. I believe that he might have said apes. He might have said apes, but I know for a fact he said monkeys. I know that for a fact. He might have said apes. I don't remember, but I know he said monkeys for sure. Um, well, and then that kind of leads into uh, that other stuff, which was uh, the convention that took place in 2006 that was in the same area of San Antonio. Uh, this was a really strange and unique, and I don't think there's ever been a convention or exhibit like this before. It was a 3-month exhibit that was put on by the University of Texas in San Antonio about the folklore and the existence and proof of Sasquatch, in the United States. This is a university that put this exhibit on. They had Meldrum come in, they had Lauren Coleman come in, and they talked to people in the university about the subject and about proof. And not only that, but at some of those pictures I sent you, they actually did they interviewed people walking in and out of the areas. Yeah, that's it right there, June 13th. And again, to me, this is really interesting because this was the uh, University of Texas putting this on. This isn't just a
Right.
Holiday Inn or a library or something like that. This is the University of Texas. You had to go there. They were fully, funding this. What was going on here, and not only that, but it was put on by the Institute of Texas Culture, and I'll talk about that a little bit little bit later. But so they actually had people outside interviewing attendees about Bigfoot and stuff like that. And there's a transcript about it. There was actually an audio tape. I'm trying to find the audio tape, but I
Oh
haven't
yeah.
found it yet. And it's a transcript of them interviewing people outside, and a lot of people are open-minded talking about it. And then they interviewed people coming out of the premiere there, and I believe they said that when people were walking in, like 40% of people that they interviewed believed in Sasquatch, and the rest, were unsure and didn't believe. And after they came out, he said the people they interviewed it was more than 80% of people believed after being a part of this presentation.
Oh
So
yeah.
this presentation was such a success that they kept it running for like 3 more months after this. So I've never heard of a convention or a presentation of Sasquatch held at a university that ran for 3 months. You know, uh, they had Meldrum there, they had Lauren Coleman, and one of the inspirations of being there in San Antonio was Lauren Coleman had talked about this. He talked about the San Antonio encounters that happened in 1976.
Oh, did he?
He mentioned it, and he said that was really one of the reasons they wanted to get down there. Not only get down here, what they were hoping to have someone from the encounters available so they could have them present there in San Antonio. That's what they were looking for. But unfortunately, they weren't able to find who they were looking for at the time. This was in 2009, I believe. And he even mentions it in an article saying, unfortunately, we weren't able to find anybody, that was around at the time, and stuff like that. But Mr. Oliveri, the youngest, contacted me and reached out to me. So, I'm currently working to get those lines connected there.
Gotcha.
And hopefully I'll be able to make some type of video about that soon. But again, that was Lauren Coleman talks about. That was one of the reasons why he wanted to get to San Antonio, is to learn more about this case and hopefully get these people out at this, this exhibit so they could talk about their experiences and stuff like that.
Well, what's weird is that Lauren Coleman says he's written hundreds of papers and more than 2 dozen books on a variety of subjects, including, Bigfoot. But what was interesting is that he also had some books regarding the copycat effect and social problems, such as suicide clusters and teen suicides. That's kind of weird. And one
That's
of
kind of weird.
Coleman's most popular books, Tom Slick, True Life Encounters in Cryptozoology, is a true tale about Slick,
Yeah.
founder of Southwest Research Institute in San Antonio, and his search for the Yeti.
Yeah. And that kind of led me down a whole nother rabbit hole, uh, where I actually found, I'll just go ahead and say it. I don't think I sent it to you, but I have it, a picture of it. It's a 3D, well, it's a picture of a 3D model of a Yeti. It was constructed in like 1970 something by I don't want, it's not a biologist, it's something else. He actually made this after interviewing like about a dozen scientists or researchers that had encountered this supposed Yeti during a Tom Slick expedition. So they actually hired a Polish biologist or whatever he was to make a 3D sculpture. And I have that picture. I've shown it before, but that just led me down a whole nother rabbit hole. But yeah,
Well, where
Tom
was
Slick.
that? Where was that Tom Slick?
That was in Russia. It
Oh,
was the Ural Mountains of Russia. That's where it was. Um, they had gotten a tip that there were geologists out there, Russian geologists, and they had encountered something for 2 days. They had encountered something, and so I think Tom Slick sent some people out there, and he talked to the scientists, and it was like 12 of them saying, yeah, that they had seen this, and they gave a depiction of it, and they made a 3D, I think a styrofoam, not styrofoam, I forget what it was, rendering of it, hairless, and
oh,
it looks like a Neanderthal. It really does look kind of like a Neanderthal. Uh, but yeah, it was just a little weird rabbit hole that I went down. Side note, but to me, this is really interesting because this is the university that put this on for 3 months. And I mentioned before that it was the uh, the Texas Cultural Society that did this, Institute of Texas Culture. You want to know the weird thing is the Institute of Texas Culture is an affiliate of the Smithsonian.
oh, really?
So that's pretty weird. I mean,
Yeah. Now, do they have anything to do with Balcony lands at all?
the Smithsonian?
Well, the USTA Institute of Texas Cultures,
I don't believe so. No, no,
or
not
is
that
that just
not that I
kind of
know of.
that just sounds like a? a blanket group for interested people to kind of throw some money around. Actually,
I believe that's exactly what it is. But yeah, I thought that was really weird that not only is this taking place at a university for 3 months, but it's actually also being held on by being held by an affiliate of the Smithsonian. Like to
right.
me, that's really like you could go either way with that one, but it's something is going on there. And if that's really one of the projects that I really want to work on, I don't know if I'm going to be doing a full on documentary about it, but I definitely want to talk, do a video about the San Antonio encounters and how they were almost the inspiration of this uh, 3 month exhibit that happened at a university in Texas, sponsored by the Smithsonian. All that to me is very fascinating. And
You didn't happen to contact this Allison Bashur, did you? That wrote the public
no,
affairs
no, I did
questions,
not. No, I did not.
or if even she's still around. Because
Yeah, I might have to. Yeah, no, I didn't. But I
well,
did.
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I did. I read the transcript of the people they were interviewing inside and outside of the venue there, and it was interesting. They put a lot of effort into this. The UTSA, the university, pumped in a good amount of money.
Yeah, I've never heard of this. That's interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, I hadn't heard about it till a few months, maybe a year ago, and I started doing a deeper dive into it, and that's when I read like Lauren Coleman was fascinated with these encounters that happened in San Antonio, and that really was the point where he's like, yeah, I want to get down there. I need to get down there.
Well, even the lead says Bigfoot, hairy man, Sasquatch, all are names for a larger than human ape like creature that has been spotted in Texas as far back as the 1830s and reported seen hundreds of times during the past
Right.
decade in
Yeah.
different parts of the state. So that's kind of, I mean, sure, it's a public affairs specialist, but to write out the first nugget, the lead of your article, not in a joking manner, not in a way that is, making fun of it,
Sure. Oh no, no.
is a different
This
tone than usual.
this was the most serious Bigfoot exhibit convention that I've read about. Like, I'm not trying to bash anybody or say one's better than the other, but this was a scientific expose that we know PhDs attended this event. There was one guy. There was a guy from St. Mary's University, which was in San Antonio, who after this, I believe he did in 2008 and 2009, he did a class about Bigfoot uh, for like a semester or like half a semester, something like that. He did a class for like 2 years about Bigfoot. And this is a PhD. You know, he was inspired by this event because he attended it, and I believe there was people from like Wisconsin, doctors, and other people from around the country coming to this event. They weren't selling T-shirts and doing like snacks and all that stuff. This was a 100% uh, exhibit. It was like a class essentially on folklore and the history and the evidence so far that's been gathered by
Right.
credible people. So to me, this is the
It
not a lot of
says,
people know about this, and I'm trying to bring more attention to this. Like this is you know to me
says
it's
the
fascinating.
executive director of the museum said it was a examination of a facet of Texas culture from folk belief to the nature of scientific proof. So
Exactly.
it's taking a scientific approach to it.
100%. The fact that it's at a university, that I don't think I've ever heard of another convention that's been held at a university. This is the the front page of the transcript of the interviews that were taking place. Again, they put a lot of information into this.
Here's a good question that Carson put up. Did the panel have a conclusion after 3 months of study?
I don't think it was they were trying to really conclude anything or trying to prove anything. They were just putting the information out there, and it was really up to the attendee to kind of make up their own mind. And they were, like I said, that this document you have on screen. This was people that were being interviewed on an audio tape coming in and out of the convention. Getting their thoughts before and getting their thoughts afterwards. And from what I read, I believe it was like over 80% believed uh, after coming out of that event. They were believe 80% of the people he talked to that previously said that they were insured and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
there's a
I really regret not being able to go to this event, but again, they didn't really make it a big deal or anything public like that. It was
well, it's 2000, 2006,
yeah, yeah.
and that's
I mean, what do you think about that? Is it just me, or like, is it
Well, I'd have to kind of see what else was kind of going on
sure?
in San Antonio as far as how this was promoted in a way. But
Right.
you get Lauren Coleman and you get you know the money behind this, and plus a museum curator to come out and discuss it and talk
Yeah.
about and acknowledge it within the culture of Texas, and then with the sightings, and then with trying to bring in lend some legitimacy to it himself. I'm sure by bringing in the scientific approach also and scientific evidence,
Right.
um, because I'm sure even as a museum they wouldn't want to be kind of looked at as kind of jumping on the bandwagon. They would want to
Oh
take it
yeah.
in a serious vein.
Well, the other thing was not only did they have, PhDs and other, people of that nature that were there, they also invited Native American chiefs that attended. And they
Oh,
talked about what their encounters were about, living in Texas and the native relationship to Bigfoot in the area.
well, that's
So,
that's
mhm,
that's really interesting because there's a channel out there of a guy that I don't think has been taken too serious, but he has a pretty specific claim about encountering a family of Bigfoot around his place up in Michigan, I think, and one of the
okay.
neighbors shooting it or something, and essentially military and three-letter agencies showing up to get the body, and that they had to kind of like repatriate the body back to an Indian reservation to be buried.
Huh.
Now,
That is
we
weird.
we all hear a lot of stories. I'm not vouching for the legitimacy of
Mhm.
anybody's story, but it's just kind of interesting to include the tribes that had lived in that area,
Oh, yeah.
and I'd be really interested to kind of see. Yeah, I'm gonna have to dig a little deeper into that. I saw also, I think Flat Rock, I had it up here. He had mentioned that he's hearing that Auburn University has also been collecting evidence of Bigfoot.
Okay.
Um, Flat Rock, if you got any other information about that, man,
Yeah.
respond to me or Eric just
Yeah.
with a link or on our community page or something. We'll take a little bit deeper look into that because, or if anybody starts coming across any of these types of presentations that just seem to be maybe raising the awareness and addressing this in a manner that's more serious, taken more serious, and not in the kind of
Right.
the I don't know what you'd call it, kind of the disingenuous or
Well, maybe the
hokey or
yeah, the entertainment
entertainment
or
aspect.
yeah, you got it. Yeah. No, when I heard about this one and I did the research, I was kind of pleasantly fascinated with how serious they took this. They put a lot of effort into it, and they flew people out from across the country. They not only PhDs and other scientists, but native people as well. So it's a lot of effort that a lot of people don't really recognize or realize this happened.
So that's the newer kind of information that we're kind of talking about, alluding to when we exchanged emails. Then,
Yeah, yeah. This is kind of my one of my little projects that I'm be working on. I don't think it's going to be a full documentary, but it'll probably be a video that I'm going to be putting out soon here. Just kind of diving, taking a deep dive into not only that's the San Antonio encounters that took place, but I believe that could have been the inspiration for what was going on uh, here with the exhibit they put on in the later years. Because I know Lauren Coleman was definitely inspired to come down
right,
here
right.
because he
Well,
wanted to
what
get that story.
what tipped you off to that? Did I miss that? Did we already talk about what tipped you off to this information? To even look into that?
This was just me doing digging into the archives, man. I was digging into some archives, and I saw the article that first one I sent you where it says four hairy man sightings. I'm like, what? And so I literally just I'm usually on some type of archive searching for uh, you know anything I find interesting, and that's when I stumbled across this. Uh, yeah, and that's the UTSA right there. That's the a Smithsonian affiliate. They put it right in front. So go where you will with that. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting
Right. Yeah.
because you've
Well,
heard about the Smithsonian doing, some type of. It could be a cover up. They could have, all types of things out there. And who knows? I believe what was going on in my area. To be honest with you, with the alphabet agencies and stuff like that, I believe they were fishing. They were trying to get information. They were fishing. Maybe this event was put on to where people had heard about it, and maybe they were, because you always go to these conventions and people have their own stories. They have
right.
their own, maybe that's what they were fishing for. Who knows? But I just thought it was interesting that this happened for 3 months. This was an exhibit that happened for 3 months. Each month had a highlighted
Oh
storyteller,
yeah.
or each month had their own little schedule of speakers and everything. And again, we know that PhDs attended this, biologists from around the country attended this, and one who was also in San Antonio was inspired to do a class on this, and there were pictures of it online as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was. I believe it was the North American Wood Ape Association has pictures of that event, uh, or that class, or whatever it was at that time. So
Hmm.
that's really what I've been working on, because I just think this story is fascinating. From the sightings, the Air Force putting out the curfew, the I mean, just all of it's really interesting to me.
Francesca's got a good point there, giving out misinformation or disinformation.
Could
As far
be.
as those three-letter agencies looking to collect that information, pigeonhole it, rabbit hole it.
I think that's exactly, in my opinion, they could have been out there doing that. They could have been like, well, who's the who's who? Let's see who comes out to these things, and who knows.
Right. Well,
And
yeah.
then once you're given a space like the University of Texas as a platform, you kind of like think the legitimacy is there. You're not going
Right.
to question that.
Right. But that's kind of another way to kind of draw people in too a little bit, or
Exactly,
get it,
100%,
collect information. Right. Gotcha.
100%. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I just thought that was
That's
interesting, and
very interesting.
yeah,
That is very interesting. I'm gonna probably go back. Well, I was gonna say I was gonna go back and screenshot that stuff. It's like, hey, wait a minute, you sent that to me.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you got it. So take a look, and that's just like half. I just clipped like half the article because it kept going. So like on both of those, the article continued on
Oh yeah.
uh, to some of the people that were attending, some of the prominent names that were in attendance there. Yeah,
Well, now what about? I mean, we kind of good there. Did we kind of got
yeah,
flushed that out of what you wanted to talk about with that?
I think so. Yeah, I think I kind of got the point across with that one. I hope people find it as interesting as I think it's really interesting that was
Yeah.
happening at that time.
That's. I mean, I'd be very interested to see all the backstory about how that all came together.
There was like a footage from it, I believe, like a news agency had been out there, and on one of the links, I tried clicking on it, but it's no longer available. There's two video segments, but I can't find them anywhere. It would
Hmm.
have been awesome to see that.
Yeah, because I mean, Lauren Coleman's kind of one of the oldest names in the show when
Yeah,
it comes to Bigfoot. Um,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if that makes him maybe suspect too. If the and I'm only speculating. Maybe when you've been in it that long, and if the government's fishing for things, they fish for certain people too, and have him as a contact, and maybe they're kind of
could be.
aligned in some ways as far as gathering information. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, that's for each person to kind of determine on their own what they think is taking
Right,
place.
and I don't want to get too speculative, but a lot of times when disinformation is out there, especially when it comes to maybe say like the UFO uh,
Sure.
field, there have
Yeah,
been disinformation agents that have showed up within there that are supposed experts, and
and we know that for a
that
fact.
were
That's
relied on for a lot
right.
of people that put a lot of faith in to be telling them the truth, and they were just massaging people and pushing people into dead ends and putting them in cul-de-sacs and spinning them around and putting them down rabbit holes that didn't end or you know
Yeah, and we know that they did that for a long time. They didn't even acknowledge that the UFOs, they were looking for UFOs, but there was actually a department that was doing that for
right,
years.
right. Well, let's not go down that UAP
no. That's
because
it's a
we'll
whole
have
other
a
show.
I'll have a different thing on that, and
Yeah,
I'm not probably on the same page with a lot of people when it comes to that.
I'm not either. Yeah, I don't know too much
So
about that stuff.
so now, what what's kind of what do you want to move on to next? The Brushy Creek, your next film, or the book, or three letter agencies, or
I don't know about the three-letter agencies. So yeah, probably I guess the documentary Expedition Brushy Creek, which hopefully I should be releasing, knock on wood, next week if everything goes well. Everything seems to be going well at the moment, but I had to put it on the back burner because one of my hard drives got corrupted. I've been working on it
Oh,
for I was working on it for like a week, 2 weeks. And my hard drive corrupted. I actually had a lot of stuff for the book on there as well, so that really sucked. But I still have it. It's just not in the same organization that it was.
sure,
Uh, so that's going to take me a little bit of time to get back to that. But that was kind of like a blessing in disguise because when I got back to work on it, I just hopped on it and I killed it in a couple of days. So it's coming to the point where it's almost finished. And
well,
I think,
now did you have a uh, clip of that you wanted to show?
yeah. Let me see. I have it here.
I
It's
think
it's literally like I think it's like the first 40 seconds or so. A very rough cut, so it might not even stay like this. But let me see if I can share that with you here.
okay. Now we'll see how this
Can I
works.
do video files or share screen? Let's see.
Either one, I think.
Either one?
I think it's probably, yeah. Try the share screen first, since if it's
Share
playing on
screen.
yours, it's probably easier for
Yeah.
you to play it on yours, and not take up space on my
Gotcha.
or
All right, let me check right
have my
here.
laptop get fried.
Yeah,
I already broke my
no worries.
glass, and I'll fry my computer, not be able to work.
Okay. Okay, that looks pretty good right there. I think you should have it there. Should be yeah, that's it right there. Yeah, okay. Do I need to make it full screen or just play it?
I think I see what happens.
I'll just play it because you're kind of zoomed in right there. So yeah, this is the first 40 seconds or so. I'm gonna cut it here probably when it gets to well, you'll see. And there's gonna be some stuff changing. It's a rough cut, but let me know if you can hear it.
No sound.
No sound?
No.
Let me see what I need to do. Let me see if I need to do something.
Yeah, we're working on it, Carson. We'll see if we can get the sound going.
Let me try that again real quick. It's low. The audio is low, so it might just be that it's low. Oh, shoot, what did I do? Can you hear that? I'm going to pause if anybody could hear that. She said something right there.
I didn't hear anything, but I think if you played a little bit more, I thought I might have heard something at the very beginning, but I haven't. Was there any intro music when the
There's a little
title
bit of
roll?
intro music. Yeah, Cashew says still can't hear it. Let me try sending you the or sharing the actual
Yeah, just share it. Try the
the
share.
file. Might be better. How does that look? I don't know if that did anything. Yeah, just play the first few seconds
It's
there.
always in the back of my mind. Something will bring it, to the forefront, and I'll remember every little detail of it. It's like a movie playing over and over in my mind, without a resolution. Because what was it? It's not the way they describe other Bigfoot or other sightings. It was different.
You can cut it right there if you can.
That looks pretty good, Eric. I mean, I know that's only 40 seconds, but the look on her face when she said is different.
That story is insane. It is crazy. Thank you. I appreciate that, Flat Rock. Thank you. But that is Nana Anna. She's
Oh
been in
yeah,
some. She's been in some chats, and
right,
yeah,
sure.
I mean, her story is like it. It
Now
blows you
the
away.
location for that wasn't too far from where you grew up, or am
We
I
were, yeah,
way
no,
off?
well, she was right along the Brushy Creek in Cedar Park. She's more on the west side. I was more on the east side there. Her experience took place on the west side of Brushy Creek, very heavily caved, wooded area, highly caved, wooded. And we actually did the interview off of Harryman Road right there.
Oh
So
yeah,
if you see the backup, that's one of the parks that backs up to the greenbelt of Harryman Road. And I mean, her story is like it's freaking, it's unbelievable. I look at it as terrifying. She looks at it as just like a life altering experience to where I feel, and this is my opinion, but I think she did get some form of like PTSD out of it. Like
oh yeah.
it's evident of that. It's just my opinion, but like you can see that when she tells the story, like it is like she's looking past you into that space, like it
Now
was deep. Yeah.
was that was what was that park that we had talked about? Olson Meadows Park, or what was the
Freeman Park or which one?
Freeman Park?
Freeman Park, yeah.
I
Yeah.
was just trying to figure out where that was at. I was trying to look on.
Freeman Park is yeah, Freeman Trail. I try Freeman Trail if you're looking for it. It might pop up there too. Yeah, that's right where I grew up. I grew up right in front of Freeman Park before it was Freeman Trail, Freeman Park. Um, yeah, that's the spot that I'm familiar with. That's the spot that the Alphabet Agency put out the poster on. That's where the signs, the Bigfoot signs, were one was put up and then it was changed to another one. Uh, Unfortunately, that's where the cluster of human remains have been found, and the ancient remains have been found there as well. So it's just a really interesting spot there, Freeman Park.
Yeah, I'm finding Brushy Creek Skate Park, Brushy Creek Sports
Let me
Park,
see here.
Champion Park, Brushy Creek Regional Trail,
Uh,
Brushy Creek
oh,
Marine.
Joe B. Freeman Park. That's what Joe B.
Oh,
Freeman.
okay.
Yeah, no, we just call it Freeman Park, but Joe B. Freeman Park. I believe that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. So
yeah.
here's kind of a share the screen here with people.
Yeah, and this is where I had my encounter, right off of Freeman Park. This was way before it was called Freeman Park, though. This is just behind my house at that time. And this is in the documentary as well. I go down to this spot where my encounter took place. We have very similar situations because there was a drought in 2011. There's a drought that happened in 2022. Yeah, that's it right there.
Okay.
And those green belts go all the way back to the Balcones and very far east.
Yeah, so right here's Freeman
Yeah,
Park.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were growing up, when we were talking before, when we were all this stuff wasn't there. All this was fields, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
These houses
there was a
weren't
few
built.
neighborhoods there. Yeah,
So everything kind of along this road towards the creek was trees, not
oh
houses.
yeah,
And they
oh
built
yeah.
these houses right back up against
Mm-hmm.
there. And then on the opposite
Yeah.
side of the creek, you got this.
That's like a water plant or something like that.
Yeah,
A
you got
purification
water
plant.
treatment. It's all
Yeah,
fenced off here. Here's 79.
yeah.
What's that? The Round Rock,
Yeah, that's a baseball. Yeah, Round Rock Dill Diamond. Yeah.
right? So then we've got all this land across here,
Oh yeah.
crops. You can move right up
Crops.
and
Yeah.
down the Brushy Creek.
Yeah.
So let's go down here and kind of take a look at this.
Sure. Oh, that looks cool.
Okay.
So,
So
like, if you could turn to where the stone is, you can literally see, like, keep going. Might be okay. So, like, right after the stone pass, like, if you just like right after where those stone pass, you look to the left, like, that's where I grew up, right over there. None of
right
that was.
here.
Keep going to your left. In that, yeah, behind those trees, that's where our house was.
Okay.
And you might
Gotcha.
actually be able to see it, but I don't want to get too detailed on.
Sure.
But
Sure.
yeah,
Gotcha.
we were right there. Yeah,
Okay. So this is the park right here, and
this
this
is the
road
park. Yeah,
was
that
this
was
always a
made.
big four lane park here, 4 lane road, or
This
was it
There
like
was nothing there.
right?
This was all green. That's just a little, yeah, like a 2 lane street that
And
goes
that's what
into a
it's tough to
residential
try to
neighborhood.
tell people about. Where sometimes when people say, "Well, I had a sighting 20 years ago, and it's a little different now."
Yeah.
I mean, think about what this was back when you're growing up.
Oh
I mean, it
yeah.
wasn't a park.
Yeah.
I mean, people were
No.
riding their motorcycles out there. Kids were playing
Yeah.
there. It was just, kind of just,
Green belts. Yeah.
yep.
And the Native American, ancient Native American burial grounds are probably right where you are right now. They were found during the construction of that road right there in 2014.
Right, right. So
So we know
is
that.
this Brushy Creek Road or
This
what road?
is I don't know what road. It's not Brushy Creek Road. I don't know. This is
It
like a little
says
residential
Forest
Forest Bluff,
Ridge.
Forest Ridge. Okay, yeah, yeah, Forest Ridge. And that's the thing. All the neighborhoods are named Forest this, Forest that.
So there's the trail right back in
Yeah,
here. Then.
trails back in there. I need to do a video where I go through that, like, it goes on for miles, but maybe do like a
Right.
quarter
But
mile of
that's
it or
essentially
something.
what this is driving down these roads.
Yeah.
You've got the green belts like this. That's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
that area.
Yeah.
Let's kind of get back up to the. All right, let's go back.
Yeah. These trails, they go on for, I believe there's 20 miles, maybe 20 to 18 miles of charted trails that they actually are meant for people to go on. And there could be up to 20 more of uncharted trails that people just kind of cut the brush to get through.
Okay, so still right here, here's Brushy Creek, and there's
Yeah.
agriculture area right here.
Yeah, it gets into big time farming spaces there. You're just going to start seeing a bunch of green fields and stuff.
Right, ponds, and
Oh
there's.
yeah,
And
caves too. Yeah, a lot of.
are there any deer out there at all?
In this area, I've seen deer. When I was growing up, we didn't really see too many, but recently I've seen deer out there.
Okay. And did you say where was that area that you were talking about, the caves along the drive and the big spot where the house was that sits out there kind of back in that area by itself? It's right down
That
here, isn't it?
Yeah, that's if you go keep going. That's going to be closer to the Harryman Road. Yeah, but I mean, all through this area of the Brushy Creek it's filled with caves and little sinkholes and a lot of nooks and crannies throughout, and you can just see how far it goes. It's a
Well, now where would I be going, west or
yeah,
east to go?
you're going the right way. Keep going. Yeah, keep
Okay,
going west.
I know.
Zoom
So
in a little bit. I think we're getting there.
is it right up
Oh,
here?
actually, no. Keep going. I think we need to pass that highway right there. Yeah, that's the highway. Keep going. A little bit down, I believe. Go a little bit further down, I think. Okay, we're getting close to there. A little bit further. Oh no, you're right. You're right there. You're right by
It's
the
right in
Harryman
there,
Road.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Right.
that's it. You got it. Yeah, yeah, you got it.
Okay, so here's the area that Eric always talks about, where there's one part of the creek that he walks to, but he can't get into because it's all private.
Yeah, that whole that's I mean that I don't know how many miles square that is, but that's a good chunk of property.
And there's
right
Harryman Road right there.
Harryman Road, yeah, yeah. And that's the house right there. If you can see that big old thing in the middle, that's a gigantic ranch house there. And they've owned this property for a long, long time.
And they've been selling off pieces of that property
Yeah, yeah.
to people to develop. And so
Exactly, yeah.
when people talk about how things change, I mean, think about eliminate all these houses, take
Yeah.
out 4 blocks of these houses, and put all these trees back in here. And
Oh
this is
yeah.
where those caves were, and where they built in those houses that where
Yeah.
those
I have
sinkholes were, right?
exactly. I have no idea how they're allowed to build on top of that stuff because there's been not one sinkhole. There's been a gigantic sinkhole, but there's been other sinkholes that have happened as well. Smaller ones that don't make the news, but yeah, I mean it's just littered with holes and caverns and bluffs. Yeah,
And yeah, okay. So here's the big house,
it's a big house. Yeah, it's like a big
right
old
there.
ranch there.
Okay, so this whole area along Brushy Creek is kind of like a cliff up there, and
Yeah, it's a
it
good little
looks
drop off
down into the
there.
creek, right?
Exactly, like a gulch. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. And I see Francesca says disrespect and encroachment. And I interviewed the construction workers, and they talk about finding bones all the time. One of them just said it like he nonchalantly said the whole place, Williamson County, is a giant Indian burial mound. Is what he said.
Oh
That, that,
yeah.
that's in the Beast of Brushy Creek documentary. Yeah, yeah. So that's the house there,
Okay.
and it's just a massive. That's a big old house
And it's kind of back off the road,
right
back
off of
away from the
Harryman
creek,
Road.
and it's got
Yeah,
acres of trees all the way around it.
and on one
So
of
when
the
you go through,
corners of
going
this
through,
property is where, on film, me and Aaron had rocks thrown at us. We have that on film. It's coming out in the documentary, and
there's
I've
Brushy Creek right
Brushy
there.
Creek. Yeah, and like I said, there's a big gulch right there.
Right.
Kind of
Right
goes
down
down
to
it.
there to the
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, and that's looks like yeah, yeah, yeah. And if you're standing on top of it, you're looking down, quite a little bit of ways there.
Let's see if we can't see what this looks like right down here. Guess it won't give us a street view.
Yeah.
There we go.
Whoa.
Okay, so we're sitting on the bridge.
Yeah, that's the one that goes over. That's brand new. I think that was made in like 2018 or 17. Goes right over the Harryman Road. Now it does, yeah.
Right. So that just goes over the creek. People
Yeah,
just cruise across it, and that's the view down the creek right there.
that's right. Yeah, this must have been during the winter because it looks like some of those trees are kind of bare.
Now, was this where you were driving down that night when you saw that coyote?
That was I don't think so. I think I was already on Sam Bass. I was on Sam Bass when I saw that.
Okay.
Yeah. Sam Bass kind of intersects with Harryman Road.
So what do we got? The neighbors dumping a bunch of trash and rocks over there?
I think that's like stones. Yeah, probably some whatever was left over after the bridge they built.
Construction debris.
Yeah, they just probably put it there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And all this has risen up really quickly. Austin has been a really fast growing city, and this is kind of where this has been recently, the last 5 years. Everything's just kind of been on hyper mode. They're building stuff really quickly out here.
Yeah, just throwing it up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Dallas was in the freaking late 70s and early 80s.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but they've been doing a lot of work, and it's unfortunate because we don't know a lot of the history that it's been discovered. The three ancient people that were found in Freeman Park. We have no idea how old they were.
So they've got plans. They got plans to sell that land there then and develop it in the same way, right?
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. Yeah, I just don't know how they'd be able to, build on top of that with the sinkholes and the caves. It's just
Well, they
wild.
did it. They did it
They've
on
done
the
it. They've done it. Yeah, it's just wild to me.
All right. Any other place you want to see on these maps?
Maybe the balconies, just to kind of give people
Okay.
an idea of the.
Okay.
Because I don't, I know a lot of people don't really recognize the balconies as like a big state park. They might think of like, what is it, Yosemite or some other well-known places. And I'm dying to get in there, but man, am I having to jump through some hoops to get in there and film.
Oh yeah. So you've already
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of started looking into
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I need like at least 3 permits. For 2 people, it's free. Okay, for a crew, 2 people, it's free. anyone else, like 3 people, I think 3 to 4 people, it's like $150 a day, an hour, $150 an hour. If you have like at least 3 people or more filming.
What did you say? $150 an hour?
Yeah, it's like $150 an hour for like if you have a crew of over 2 people.
You telling me you're with that Smithsonian affiliate?
Yeah, no, I should maybe that might help, right? But no, and then if you have like a group of 10, it's honestly like I think like $800 or something like that an hour uh, to film out there, like commercial. They call it commercial filming. Yeah, it's insane. And it closes at
Weird.
4. It closes at 4 p.m.
Yeah, I know.
You
And no
know,
camping.
no
Exactly,
camping.
Francesca. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, put them in caps. I'm trying to catch them as much as I can, but
Missed the coyote. Yeah, that was cool. The coyote ran out right in front of us. Yeah, that's some of the balconies right there.
yeah, let's see if I can
Balcones Canyonlands.
back this off a bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
because when we were looking at this before, we really noticed a lot of the terrain.
Mm-hmm.
If we can get
yeah.
because you can
Yeah.
really see how there's some ridges. I mean, it goes up to 1,200 feet there.
Yeah, it's very hilly and you know, you don't think of Texas with having, you know, mountains
Exactly.
or hills, but no, they're out there, man.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. And they call it Texas Hill Country for a
Hill
reason.
country. It's a hill country, yeah.
So there's balconies
Mm-hmm.
right there, and you guys can see the topography there. This semi-topo map. And there's
Mm-hmm.
some very, very interesting.
A lot of country.
Yeah, and what was really weird is what we noticed is kind of circular, kind
Yeah.
of
It almost looked like
natural
mountains, you know. It
formation.
looks yeah, yeah, you did mention that. I hadn't really thought about that, but I've been I've been told by different people with different interpretations. Like I've heard one person said that he believed that the balcony was like a man-made place, but I have no idea about that. It's interesting to say the least. Really interesting. Beautiful area.
Yeah, and
But,
that's what's
but
so odd to
can't really
see
do
those
much.
types of ridges that are green,
Mm-hmm.
because it almost looks like it's terraced in some way.
Yeah, yeah. It looks like small trails have been walked through or something like that, but over and over again. Like it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it could be, just erosion and water
Could be,
and,
yeah.
but it's just very odd. That's just a
Yeah.
very odd look.
It
That's what
is.
I totally caught my eye.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead while I kind of move around here. Back up and tell me a little bit more about your contact when you were going out to talk to the balconies and how you kind of did that conversation where you're just like, hey, I just want to come out and shoot some stuff and wildlife,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, so no, I've been wanting to do that for a really long time, and the people who aren't aware, the balconies opens at 8 a.m. and it closes at 4. It's not even 8 hours. It's not open 8 hours. You know, you're not allowed to stay overnight. You're not allowed to walk off trail. There's a lot of really strange rules
not on
about that place.
trails. There's lots of marked trails.
A lot, yeah, exactly. You know, and it warns you. There's no like, you bring your own water. There's no water facilities out there. I don't even think there's bathrooms out there. I mean, there might be in like the ranger station or something like that. But there's warning signs everywhere. No drone footage, from what I understand. And when I was looking into it, getting because I imagine you'd have to have a permit because at this point it's federal, it's not state land. So I did look into getting a permit and see what that would take, and I just found if you're issued a permit, you pretty much have to give them a breakdown of what you're shooting. You're pretty much a schedule of what you're going to be shooting that certain days you're out there, how long you plan to be out there, what you're filming, what it's about, where it's going to be shown. Pretty much you're telling them all this information, which I've never had to do before. So
That's weird.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like the best way to go about this because I really want to get in there and film, but I don't want to get raided by like the feds saying, hey, you stepped off trail, you weren't supposed to, or yeah, I mean, it's gorgeous out there. Look at that, just rolling hills for miles. And we know that there's a lot of endangered species that live out there. I think I sent it to you on the last time we talked about a article that was written on like the About Us, and they literally talk in there about how the cave systems underground go for miles. They mentioned that in there. They say they go miles underneath the hill country. And this is one of the spots right here. I mean,
Oh, amazing.
just a gorgeous area.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really want to get in there and do some filming because I've heard different things about the area. I've been sent stuff about the area, and
Uh,
it's
Francesca,
untouched to me.
Francesca has a good.
Can you use a drone? From what I understand, you cannot use a drone unless you have a permit for it.
And that's probably more than $150.
Yeah, there are videos on like YouTube with people like flying stuff at the balconies and stuff like that. But they're short clips. I know for a fact they're not. I believe those are for educational purposes. Those videos are like mapping or something like that, and they're very few. I've only found like 2 or 3 of them.
Now you haven't gone back and looked at any of the. And I don't expect that you probably have. Have you gone back and looked at any of the old maps, like some of the historical maps of this area, to kind of see what the Balcones was at certain times? Because there's a lot of times where they have older
Yeah,
towns and old graveyards and stuff like that
right.
marked on those.
From what I understand, the majority of the balconies was owned, yeah, that right there by a family, and it was like I don't remember the name, but there was a couple of cabins in the area. I think this is the only one that still survived.
Wow.
But I believe it was like maybe 1 or 2 families that owned pretty much the bulk of what the balconies became. And I can't remember their name. I want to say it starts with a J or something like that. But yeah, they pretty much just trapped and hunted out there. And all over the balconies too, there are signs saying if you find any type of relics, Native American, whatever, leave it there. You're not allowed to pick it up. You're not allowed to take it. They're just saying like, leave anything you find. You're not allowed to take anything from there. You have to leave everything you find there.
Ooh, wow. Eric,
Yeah.
that place is awesome.
Yeah.
So when are you kind of planning on going out there, or you have it in your
Man.
mind?
Yeah, I mean, I want to go out there like very soon. I was hoping kind of like for winter when it got a little cooler to go out there. But I mean, I want to be able to film out there. That's the thing. And if I can't film out there, it's like, man, yeah, it's gonna be something. I need to get the permits, and if I can't do that, then what I would really like to do would be to do maybe some type of like nature documentary where I'm out there. Like, I would really love to set up a trail camera at night just to see what comes by there, because you're not allowed to do anything at night. Like, everybody has to be out by 4 o'clock, which is still sunlight out. So I would love to set up, like, maybe if that would be cheaper, because like I'm not filming with the crew, I'm just setting up like trail cameras. Maybe might be a little workaround, I guess, but that still remains to be seen. So I want to get out to the balconies like ASAP.
Right.
I don't know if that's going to happen.
Hey, Bill, thanks for dropping by. We really appreciate it. Good prayers to you and the rest of your family. We appreciate you dropping by. Have a good night, Bill.
I'm having fun. I appreciate everybody being here.
Francesca, another great suggestion, I think, if I can find it. Yeah. Make it an education.
Well, yeah, I don't think I'm the one who gets to decide that. I think the balconies is the one that gets to decide that. If I tell them what I want to do, they're going to be like, well, this sounds commercial to us, or this sounds, kind of at their mercy.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's a federal. If it was state, I think I'd be able to, get through a lot easier. But since it's federal, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I can see why they want you to stay on the trails, though.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some pretty delicate undergrowth there, plants and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that really preserves the true nature kind of what that area was like,
Oh, definitely.
undeveloped.
Yeah, I mean, this would be like a perfect like Western, for a movie. It's insane. Like,
I can't believe how green it is there, though.
Oh, it's lush, man. It's lush. And that's from all the, not only is like the Brushy Creek runs through starts there, but other creeks and there's many running through there. I think it's like 4 or 5 creeks and ponds that just kind of go through there. Yeah, look at that. The hills popping up out of the ground.
It's interesting how close the houses are too, though.
I think that's like one of the ranger stations, or
Oh,
maybe
is it?
it might be a house. Yeah, it's
I don't
kind of
know. That's
big.
pretty nice looking. Looks like
It might be one of the stations or something because I think they have like 2 or 3 stations.
okay.
Yeah,
But yeah,
overlooks.
this the winter time or early spring would be look like probably the
Yeah,
perfect
man.
time to get out there.
I would love to get out there around that time. And I have a couple of spots that I'd like to go out there that I've been, been told about.
Wow. So they got looks like some paved trails and some dirt trails too.
Yeah, they got a lot of they even have some like off road, like I think for dirt bikes and stuff like that. But yeah, you got to be careful when you're out there. Like I said, they don't have any water stations out there. You kind of go out there with anything you take.
Yeah, Papa, this is Texas.
Texas, Central Texas. What's going on, Papa?
Yeah, good for you to drop in, Papa C. Good to see you. Well, cool, man. Well, I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, man. I'd
So
like
I know
to,
you.
I'd
Well,
like to get down there and check this out,
I was
man.
gonna say if I could pop in real quick. I know you do a lot of this stuff at the LBL. What is the like? Is the typography a big difference from this to the LBL?
Oh yeah,
Is it?
yeah. It's like hills and hollers. I mean, it's.
Gotcha.
I think the top. I mean, they get up to around 800, 900 feet at the tops of some of
Okay.
those
Yeah.
ridges.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds like a lot higher.
Well, I don't know. What these were. These were. Would you say 1,000, 1,200?
Some of them. Yeah. I think those are. Yeah.
And some of these. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
Because I looked at some of the topographical maps. I think I probably even got one around here.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
LBL. But it's like it's thick hardwood old growth type forest. I mean, some of that area I think has probably never been logged. Although I think I don't know. I'm not the expert on how old some of those trees are in
Right.
LBL, but I just know that there's some areas in there that are freaking thick. And in fact,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
got a hike that I went on that I've got about an hour that I need to put up on my channel sometime.
Nice.
But it's you feel more boxed in. I mean that the area there in the hill country is flat and you can kind of see the horizon. You
Right.
get in spots in LBL where you can't see the horizon.
Yeah, it's got to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I try to stay on the ridges. I mean, it sucks kind of go down and then up, down and then up. I mean, there's horse trails.
Gotcha.
And I was hiking horse trails, and people were looking at me like I was crazy going up some of these, some of the ridges.
Yeah.
Um,
Interesting. So I'm guessing it's more like you said, more hollers. Is it more? I mean, we don't have a big water area there. More streams and everything. Is the lake there that's pretty big? Takes up a lot of space there.
They dammed up 2 rivers, essentially.
Right. Right. Okay. Interesting.
And we'll bring that on here. We'll bring up LBL.
Okay.
Because you can see. Oops. Let's go backwards here. Essentially, you got Grand Rivers up here, so it's kind of the headwaters. Come down here, it's Kentucky Lake. That's Tennessee down here, Dover, Tennessee. This is all Kentucky, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, right there. Hopkinsville, Cadiz. And this is the other lake.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And you got it from, you got the area all the way from here. I forget how many miles it is. All the way down into here. And as yeah. And when you get down there and look into it, I mean, that is how you don't see anything in there. It's just trees.
Yeah.
Cumberland River right here.
Mm-hmm. It's a canopy, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's.
Yeah, it's thick.
Yeah. Lots of roads go back in there, but I mean, they're just right. It looks like broccoli.
Oh my
looks like
goodness,
broccoli.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like a video game with like pixelated or something, like Zelda
Yeah,
or something like that.
yeah, it's a
Wow.
bison area.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Elk. I think. In fact, I think we ran into some elk
That's cool.
the last time we were there. That they might have reintroduced. Now they're probably deer, but they were very big and their eyes
Gotcha.
were kind of far apart, so they didn't look like deer. And Mark got them on the flare.
Okay.
Me, him, and Misty walked up to a graveyard in the middle of the night, and really didn't see much. I didn't when I was there. I really didn't get a vibe of anything being around like I had in the past a couple times.
Hmm.
Um,
Interesting. Was this the first time you've been out there around that time?
No, I usually go in
No.
October. I've
Okay.
been in there October and March,
Interesting.
and this is kind of what the
Okay.
forest is
Yeah.
like. You know,
Gotcha.
there's lots of there's like a 4-wheel drive trail around the shore and stuff. You take
That's
your
cool.
jeeps and camp like a camping / 4-wheel
Yeah.
trail.
Yeah. I wish they would let us camp there in the balconies, but they don't.
And that's kind of the northern end, I think, up at
Oh,
Grand
yeah.
Lakes. But it's weird. There aren't a lot of people that go into the woods taking pictures. It doesn't look like.
Hmm.
Here's this.
Oh
There
yeah,
you
that
go.
looks thick.
That's essentially what walking through LBL is like, right there.
That's thick.
Yeah,
Tall trees. I don't think our trees are that tall here. Yeah,
yeah. I
those
mean,
are tall.
the freaking oak leaves are as big as your head.
Oh my god, yeah.
Got some
We don't have
hogs there
that.
too.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nice. A lot of wildlife.
It's a pretty good one.
Oh yeah, it's nice.
So
Huh.
people painted all those rocks.
Yeah.
Some turkeys. Yeah, so
Nice.
and there's they got fields like this that are go up to
Right.
the woods where you can hunt and stuff like that. Not too many people go too deep in there. Um, horse trail.
Oh yeah. Cool. That's
Off-roaders.
right. Nice.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a
it's
good
fun.
spot.
There's so much to do there, and
Oh
for
yeah.
everybody to say as soon as you step in there, like freaking dogmen and Bigfoot are chasing you out of there is
That's what I perceived, like from all the online stuff. That's what I was thinking. I was like, shit, man.
well, I tell you, I listened to a lot of dogman and Bigfoot stories,
Yeah,
outlaws. There you go. That's what they do.
that's
You
nice.
drive around the trails sometimes around the lake there. Just ride along the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Camp out there, fish. That I was like, I thought, dude, man, I was going and I was gonna be,
Mutilated or something.
I needed to be packing, need to be
Yeah,
eyes
yeah.
on the swivel, head on the
Right.
swivel. Although the first time I did go there, I mean, that's when we ended up found that trackway. I didn't. Shelley Reed and Pat Noble ran across them,
Gotcha.
and I mean, there was definitely a different feel that time than some of the other times I've been there. It was October, it was Halloween. Um,
Hmm.
it was nice out, full moon, 40s probably at night, but it was dark, man. Even though there was a
Yeah.
full moon, it was like it was in and out of the clouds. But I mean, you get there and you can't see your hand in front of your face when you extend it out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, we had a bonfire down in one part of the campground. We walked back to my car, and I was getting a little freaked out walking back to my car by myself, and it was like maybe 40 yards away from the campfire.
Not even that far.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's. I mean, there's areas that are creepy for sure, and you can go back. I mean, I've been to the kill site. And that's real close right off the trace, so it wasn't it wasn't as scary to me. I was there in broad daylight and whatever, but I was just really surprised at how close it was to the road, like real close.
Yeah.
But I love I mean it's awesome.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
There's tons of people to go there, and there's tons of people that have houses around there, and I'm sure. I mean, I talked to somebody that used to work there at one of the shops, and I was kind of telling her that I was there checking out Bigfoot, and she kind of rolled her eyes at me, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then we started talking, and she loosened up a little bit and said that most of the she had seen out there were hogs, and they had heard about the Beast of LBL and all that. The film, most of the people kind of had the there was a film that was made out there about it, like an actual drama, low budget, whatever.
I remember reading something about that.
And that's where they kind of seemed to get their nose not out of joint, but just were like a little put off. The locals were about how they were portrayed and how the whole area was portrayed. Sense, yeah. And everybody kind of usually feels that way. But yeah, it's beautiful, man. It
looks like it.
It's a great time. Tons. I mean, you just go wherever. I mean, there's you get a backcountry pass, you can go camp wherever, pretty much. But there are people that have had encounters and stories that are pretty violent.
Yeah, you hear all the stories, and it's like you think of it. You think of the worst when I think of that place.
Right.
But it looks gorgeous.
But if if it was happening that often, if it was crazy and outrageous as people make it out to be, then I think you'd hear more about it, and people wouldn't want to go there. And a lot of people you run into and you ask them about that, they look at you like, "What? What? Yeah. Well, maybe there's lots of stuff in here." And a lot of times they'll say, "Oh, there's lots of stuff in here." And more like there's probably other weirder things than the Bigfoot that are in there somehow, and it's probably having to do with some people, but also I think with legends about some other ghosts. And I mean, it's full of cemeteries. I mean, it's got, somebody said, I don't know, it's over 100 probably family cemeteries, and a lot of those are still maintained.
Huh? Wow, it's kind of cool.
Good night, Sharon. Have a good one. We didn't think we'd be going this long, but it's kind of morphed into a little bit.
Well, I had fun.
Well, was there anything else? Anything else you wanted to cover? I mean, you got me into LBL, and I started rambling on. It's kind of about you and Brushy Creek. There was.
I don't know.
Was there anything, one other topic we wanted to cover? We did
I think we hit everything. The book. I'm working on the book. Unfortunately, the correct hard drive sent me back.
Got the film coming out.
Film's coming out. We played a little bit of it. If anybody saw that, let me know what you think.
We got the new info about the old 2006 conference out in San Antonio. Is that where it was at?
San Antonio. The sightings that took place that kind of inspired that. And I'm going to be working on a video that's going to be here on YouTube pretty soon. Hopefully, I'm not going to go too crazy as far as production goes on that one. I'm just going to gather the evidence, put it out there, because I think it's so interesting that those 3 months of that exhibit taking place was, to me, really interesting. Thanks, Sharon. Well, cool. The last thing, one more thing, was that I didn't send it to you, but I believe it was December 7th. I got a message from someone saying that they were on one of the Brushy Creek trails and they had rocks thrown at them. This was on December 7th. I have that message. And that's kind of weird because I never really hear anything. You never really hear anything around this time frame, December, or everything always ends like November. So December is kind of interesting, but I have that, and that's the latest thing that I've heard taking place along the Brushy Creek. So I'm trying to get that story soon. Hopefully after the holidays, I'll be able to interview that person and get their story.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
looking forward to that.
I thought there was something. Well, you didn't have any blowback from our last discussion about 3 other agencies or anything like that, did you?
Well, the Nana interview was interesting. I'll just say that. We had the video speaks for itself. The raw video speaks for itself. I don't want to go too much into that.
Okay.
We were Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about Media Palace and what else you do, because I know I checked out your webpage and you've got
Yeah.
some other services that you provide also. So you're not just doing this. I mean, you got a professional life of your own. And
Yeah, I mean, I do visual effects, green screen type stuff, VFX, a little bit of 3D modeling. I'm getting proficient in it. I've done sports for a really long time. The sports season's about to pop back up, so I'm going to be doing. I have a contract with a local semi-professional sports group that I work with. I won't go
Sweet,
too much into detail about that, but I've been doing that for it's going to be like the third year
awesome.
we've been working with them, and it's always a lot of fun. And they're sending a lot of work my way. So there's
Good.
that, and then yeah, that's always great. And
So you don't have to do any more of those Taiwanese commercials where
I
you're a
was going to bring that. I was going to
superstar,
bring that. I was going to
superstar in
bring. I was.
commercials.
That was the next thing I was going to bring up. Is yeah, my that's part of the VFX that I do in the green screen stuff. But yeah, I'm on Fiverr as well. People hired me for all types of commercials, video game stuff.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
if you need Eric, he's got a green screen. You got to shoot a commercial. Need some talent.
got a
Eric's your
green
man.
screen. And if you don't have to necessarily use me. I have other people that I can call for actors and faces that are much more appealing on camera than mine. But yeah, the latest one I told you about, I did some commercials. I guess I'm a superstar in Taiwan or something because
Sweet.
I did a couple of commercials that ended up for a bracelet company that's out of Taiwan. So that was
Oh,
fun.
so they didn't show your face. It was just like you're the hand model,
No, they showed my face.
Seinfeld.
No, no, they showed my face. I did hand stuff before one time. You're never gonna believe what it was for, but I have the pay stub for it to prove it. It was Palace visuals. It was for The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead.
Oh yeah.
I did some hand stuff right before they left to Georgia now. But yeah, and then actually I've last year I was really heavy into the movie industry here in Austin. I was actually a PA on a several.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to go too much into detail about that, but yeah, I was actually a PA on several films.
Well, we'll have to have you.
There's
We'll have to get on and kind of have a late
yeah,
night conversation. Like,
I'll just tell you this: I was in a scene with. It's gonna sound like I have a big head or something, but it was funny. I was literally like 5 feet away from Ben Affleck in a scene that
oh
we
yeah.
did in a movie he shot in Austin. That's gonna be coming out
What'd
pretty
you have to do?
soon
Did you
here.
light his cigarettes for him or something?
He was chain smoking like crazy. He was like done. Next one, next one, next one. And this what's his name? Faulkner. I believe it's like Robert Faulkner or something. He's a famous actor.
Yeah.
Finchner. No, not Finchner. Maybe it is Finchner. But I'm standing right next to him, and he goes, "If you grab these cigarettes, you could sell them on eBay for like." I'm like, dude, how are they gonna know it's an Affleck cigarette?
DNA tests.
Yeah, exactly. We started laughing, but yeah, it was fun. So that's really what I do, and then I do a lot of other things too. But yeah,
Cool.
that's what I've been
Cool.
involved
Yeah.
with.
Well, and that's what I kind of want to use this channel for too. Is just kind of. I think maybe I have a better when I'm less formal and not as organized. Maybe some of the spontaneity comes out a little bit for some better questions and interactions. So I'm kind
That
of
was great, man.
yeah, kind of playing with this, and I'll get some feedback from Cashew and see.
Sweet.
She'll give me pointers on how I can improve. I'm sure, but there are a lot of people here still in chat that I really appreciate you guys dropping in. Eric does too.
Oh yeah,
We just threw this together, and we're glad anybody showed up or was interested in this. That's awesome. And we'll probably have him back on again, and I'm going to talk to you offline about trying to get down there because I really want to check out that balcony.
yeah,
That place looks awesome.
sure, for sure.
I don't know when you're going to go down there and that or whatever, but I don't want to keep you much longer. But I know this is kind of your wheelhouse as far as time goes. You usually go a little late in the evening on your live stream, so
Yeah, we usually start around 9.
so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
about
I might try to bring those back here once I get some of the stuff off my plate because I got way too much stuff on my plate right now.
absolutely. And that's kind of what I want to kind of have this my channel for too is like kind of get people informally to come on a little bit and
That's a
just
great
kind
idea.
of discuss where they're at and what's going on, and what they're thinking about, instead of having to feel kind of the pressure to like, we've got to cover stuff and hit certain things and have a time constraint or go a certain way.
Right.
Well, cool, Eric. I really appreciate your time and you hopping on here and helping me out
Thank
tonight.
you.
Because I a couple weeks ago I was thinking about you after I'd seen that map and stuff, and just the other, like, when I think it was just yesterday when I looked, I was like, I wonder what Eric's up to now. And then I saw your post that I commented on
Yeah.
today, so I figured let's just talk about it. If I got questions, you can update me, and maybe
Yeah.
everybody else can benefit also by hanging out with us. And I'm getting a little better about trying to get chat involved. So be patient with me, guys. I got some of your questions tonight, and me and being a little bit less formal about not having the pressure to cover certain topics and time and stuff like that kind of helps me flow that way. So I really appreciate you guys being patient with me, and I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. And Eric, you can just hang out, and
Sure.
we'll go backstage. But everybody, have a good evening, and Christmas is coming up, so this is a good time to spread some peace and be nice to people, as you always should be anyway. But just kind of emphasize that a little bit more now. But we'll all see you later, and next time I'll throw out something like this again, maybe in a week or so, and have somebody else on here we can have a spontaneous conversation with under the algorithm. Night, folks.